State of the Division. We're continuing our special edition of looking at what each team in the AL East is going to be doing at the trade deadline. We just hit on the Yankees. Now we're going to hit on the Blue Jays and continue on down the list. The Blue Jays are in an interesting spot. They're 53 and 43. They own the top wild card spot right now. But this team definitely has its flaws. And those flaws do not start at the lineup. Outside of acquiring a left-handed bat, this lineup is loaded. But the concern that has been surrounding this Blue Jays team since even the offseason has been, are they going to get enough pitching? Hyojin Ryu is down with Tommy John surgery. Jose Berrios has a 5.22 ERA. And you remember, he was acquired for Austin Martin in a blockbuster deal last offseason. That was kind of, supposed to be the big acquisition that would take them to the next level. He has not been that guy. The fastball just gets torched. Then you have Yusei Kikuchi, who was signed in the offseason. He has not made it past the fourth inning he's only made it past the fourth inning in just 2 of his last 9 starts. I mean, he is one of the worst pitchers in baseball right now. He's a negative 0.5 WAR. So you're going to need to acquire some starting pitching. That's probably the first thing they must do. They're also going to have to get some bullpen arms, but let's run down who the starting pitching options are. So it's going to be all the top guys because the pitching depth in this deadline is not too crazy outside of the main guys. You have Frankie Montas, Luis Castillo, Tyler Mahle, and then now Pablo Lopez seems to be on the market now that the Marlins are kind of like, are we going to go in? Are we not going to go in there? Jazz Chisholm is on the IL. It seems like the Marlins are going to be selling, and Pablo Lopez would make a lot of sense for a lot of teams, but I think Pablo Lopez makes the most sense for the Blue Jays. They've traded with the Marlins a lot, and I kind of want to make a hypothetical trade here that's kind of crazy, Sam. So imagine they trade for Pablo Lopez and one of Edward Cabrera and Max Meyer, who are both top prospects, for Gabriel Moreno, who is a top 10 prospect in the big leagues right now. What would you say to that?
I'm intrigued. This is quite the hypothetical you just put in front of me right here. You got Edward Cabrera, Max Meyer, Pablo Lopez for just straight up for Gabriel Moreno?
It would be Pablo Lopez and then one of Edward Cabrera or Max Meyer, right?
Okay.
For Gabriel Moreno. But you have Alejandro Kirk, who has like the 9th or 10th best WRC plus in baseball this season. And he's proven that he started the All-Star game. I mean, he's an amazing catcher. You have Danny Jansen to back him up as a great defender and actually a pretty solid bat. It's like, do they really need Gabriel Moreno? Why don't you go get a Pablo Lopez who you'll have for a couple years, and then you also get another top pitching prospect?
They've shown reluctancy to trade Moreno, but in all honesty, I think he should be up. If they can acquire an arm like a Pablo Lopez, who, in all honesty, is a drop-off from a Montas or Castillo, but has still been really good this year. So I think that if we're strictly looking at a necessity standpoint, and if the Blue Jays can get one of Meyer and Cabrera back with Lopez, to me, that's a no-brainer deal because that secures your pitching for the long term because you could bring one of those guys up and maybe they succeed for you. We've seen both Meyer and Cabrera make their big league debut, so maybe they come up with Toronto and we'll see how they are. And then Pablo Lopez gives you another guy behind Manoah, and then whenever Gosman's consistent, because Barrios just isn't the guy right now. And like you said, with Ryu and Kikuchi, they don't have it.
No, you can't rely. You can only rely on Gosman and Manoah right now. And you're going to need a third and at least maybe a fourth, which Edward Cabrera and Max Meyer could be immediately. I don't think they're going to make that trade, but if I was the GM, I would be seriously considering making a deal like that because it helps both sides. All right, let's move on to the bullpen because that's the other problem this Blue Jays staff has dealt with. They own the 22nd best ERA for a bullpen in baseball right now, 4.34 ERA. It's a bad bullpen. I mean, Jordan Romano is a beast. Adam Simber has done his thing. David Phelps, Tim Meza, those 4 have kind of been the main dudes, but they have a lot of guys injured and they're going to need to make additions. It seems like David Robertson and possibly a Daniel Bard are who they're going to go after. I don't really think that David Bednar is going to get dealt. He's a free agent in 2027. That's a ton of control. And I don't think the Pirates are going to want to give that up because I think the Pirates see themselves at least competing a little bit next year and into 2024, I think is kind of their window to start competing at, they're going to start competing. Scott Barlow is another name out there on the Royals. he has less control. He's a free agent in 2025. He's a guy I could possibly see being acquired for less of a price as well. That seems like more likely of an option. But, David Robertson and Daniel Bard, the rental relievers, seem like the biggest possibility for me.
Yeah, and everybody's in on Robertson. I read a report that legitimately everybody has called the Chicago Cubs about David Robertson. We just talked about him with the Yankees. So it's going to be really interesting to see what the price is for David Robertson and if he ends up on a team like the Toronto Blue Jays, because I feel like he's played for a million different teams at this point in his career. But again, that would be a good spot. The Barlow thing also, I think he would work very well behind Romano. So yeah, that bullpen's bad. And if they want to win a playoff series, nonetheless make it, they have to add to that bullpen.
Yep. And then the final piece to the puzzle, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, is for them to add a left-handed bat, right? Bradley Zimmer, Raimel Tapia, Kevin Biggio, Zach Collins, they are not going to cut it. But I don't feel like this is the biggest need for this team. It really is the pitching, but some guys that could go get, obviously Benintendi's out there, left-handed bat, Ian Happ. They could go get a Josh Bell, who's a switch hitter, but I don't really see them paying up for one of, a Hap Bell or Benintendi, maybe a David Peralta. I think David Peralta could be, a possibility for them, as well as Joe Mantiply, who might be on the block as well. So we'll see. The Blue Jays, what I will say is this lineup is World Series caliber, but they're going to need to add at least one starter, if not two starters, and at least one bullpen piece to make it through the postseason alive. I mean, they might score 6 runs a game in the postseason, but it's like, is that enough if the pitching cannot withstand the runs that they're going to give up? So we'll see. Blue Jays, that's your breakdown. Thank you, everybody.